And here's a look at the USBA rules. The 10-point must-scoring system in effect. 3 knockdowns not in effect here. Mandatory 8 count. No.
Said flat out to us this morning, Dave, I don't really think James Hughes is that big a threat to me.
And a little bit uncharacteristic as far as that kind of talk from him. He is motivated for this fight. The first round ought to be pretty explosive.
Hughes wants to pressure him. He told us that. Be all over him, work on the inside. For Stevens, I'm sure he would rather box a little bit and stay on the outside. We'll see how it all works out. Good left hook by James Hughes.
You've got the outlaw against the untouchable. Real shootout here.
Where's Walter Winchell when we need him? He's scheduled for 12 because the USBA title is on the line. Stevens getting in a pretty good left hand. They are both 29 years of age.
And I don't think that the finer points of boxing will come out in this first round. You're seeing a lot of adrenaline, some pushing and shoving.
And that benefits Hughes, don't you think? Because he wants that kind of brawl.
He wants Stevens to get out of the disciplined game which got him here and make this a fight that can take place in a phone booth.
Nice left hand by Stevens. If you haven't seen James Hughes fight before, he has a rock-hard chin. Not an easy task to hurt him.
And at times we are seeing him lead with that chin in the opening round here. He does not care the price right now. He simply wants to get inside and do rough stuff.
He's not jabbing his way in, though. There he tried it, but it didn't work too well. Stevens now has his distance a little bit better as we're halfway through round 1. Anthony Stevens and James Hughes, they're both in the black trunks.
Stevens showing a little bit of that punching on angles ability mentioned in the keys, and Hughes will try to take that away.
Hughes missing with a couple of jabs as he tries to jab his way in. You get the feeling Johnny Finea will be a very laissez-faire kind of referee, allowing things to take their natural course.
Stevens wants to be on the inside. Hughes wants to win the kind of fight where you can have head butting and somebody loses a teeth and all that. A gritty inside battle, as ugly as he can make it.
Stevens using his jab, not landing it, but using it to keep Hughes off him. And wanting to tie up Hughes when they're on the inside, which he's doing right now. Half a minute left to go in round 1. It is set for 12, USBA Welterweight Championship. I'm Al Bernstein along with Dave Bontempo. We're delighted you joined us for another edition of Top Rank Boxing. So round 1 is winding to a conclusion, and Anthony Stevens punctuates it with an excellent left hook. We'll be back. Things should keep heating up.
Let him go. Let him go.
Stevens makes Hughes pay for being off balance, gets everything into this left hook.
So there's an example of Stevens doing well on the inside. James Hughes feels like that's his office, but so far he hasn't been able to make it work. But he is pressuring Stevens as we expected him to.
First round, really the matador gets the edge over the bull. And Hughes was trying to pressure too much and really just being reckless about it.
See, though, Hughes had his moments in round 1. He gets a warning from referee Johnny Finea about throwing Anthony Stevens around.
Let him go, Jeff.
And the smart fighters who try to rough up their opponents will take it as far as they can go. Make sure they get at least one warning, but not a point.
Stevens working the jab. It's a very big ring, so that benefits Anthony Stevens, you would think. And now he is getting the jab working against James Hughes.
Hughes will need to adjust his strategy if he's going to win the fight. He's got to cover up more, really get the head down lower, and don't pay such a big price for getting in because he is an open target. And in this big ring, he'll become even a bigger target.
Stevens' jab keeps working here in round 2.
Already blood under the right eye of Hughes.
Anthony Stevens had a chance at a world title. Fought Felix Trinidad, had Trinidad down twice, but could not keep him down and ended up losing it in the 10th round, largely because of fatigue. And could not win the IBF welterweight title. Now Hughes pressuring him pretty well and getting a couple right hands home, but takes a right from Anthony Stevens.
Hughes found one opening and let everything he had into it, trying to maximize the first chance he had in this fight to do some damage.
Stevens counter punches effectively.
There you see the angles by Stevens. Jab, then moves to the side.
There is blood from underneath the right eye of Hughes. Gashed it open, and it's swelling as well. So that's the problem. Good right hand by Stevens and a left hook by Anthony Stevens. He is ripping James Hughes apart as Hughes comes in. Great counter punching by Stevens.
The angle punching has been his ticket so far. The subtle movement, and when he gets Hughes coming in, Hughes is absolutely wide open.
Again, Anthony Stevens landing the jab and a straight right hand as he moves away. And that gash underneath the eye of James Hughes looks bad, as does the swelling, and Stevens goes after him here in round 2. So round 2, a banner round for Stevens. And as we check into James Hughes' corner, they've got some problems.
It's on the line. Please don't over. James, listen to me. James, when you go down under that right hand, come up with the hook. You got to stay in his body these first 5 or 6 rounds.
Stevens has it going in round 2. The jab, the right hand missing behind it, but the stick, as they call the jab, has been very significant for him. Stays on the outside, the jab setting up his overhand right. He timed that one perfectly. And again, by showing the left hand, he's able to land the right.
And typically of Anthony Stevens, he comes back with another punch after the right hand. We head into round 3. This one is scheduled for 12 for the USBA welterweight title, which is held by Anthony Stevens. It was on the left of your screen. James Hughes, 29-year-old from Mobile, Alabama, wants the title, and instead, for all his aggression, he is getting counterpunched continuously. Look at the punches in round 2. Stevens well over 50%.
And that's in basically a counter-punching mode throughout, because Hughes keeps coming in. Stevens is waiting for Hughes to totally commit himself in that straightforward attack, and then he opens completely up. There are better ways to fight Stevens' speed than Hughes is showing. He's leading recklessly. He's got to get down low, cover himself up, and pound the body. Don't pay such a big price to get inside.
You've given Stevens both of those first 2 rounds.
And fairly convincingly. He's got the style and right now the speed and numbers to back him up.
Hughes trying to rough Stevens up, but Stevens comes back with a left hook, and Anthony Stevens using his heads pretty well.
Smothers Hughes, and he's discouraging Hughes here.
Stevens working the left hook there to the body. Anthony Stevens opening up the cut again underneath the eye of Hughes.
And it's bothering Hughes to some degree. He is showing it. He's coming forward, but the eye has his attention.
There you see Hughes cutting off the ring effectively, but couldn't get anything done offensively. Well, we told you at the beginning James Hughes was a tough customer. He's showing that. He's taking a lot of big punches from Stevens. He's cut under the eye, but he keeps coming.
And he's taking all these punches while he's moving forward. And when he gets close enough, rather than allow him to go to the body, Stevens smothers him. So basically, it's at least a standoff on the inside. On the outside, Stevens is king.
Under a minute left to go in round 3 on this 12-rounder. And Anthony Stevens having things his own way. There you see him land a jab. Keeping things on the outside. Stevens effective. Again, the right hand gets home.
Able to land and then move. Hughes only able to move straight ahead.
So as round 3 comes to a close, Stevens does what he's been doing, landing good counter punches, and Hughes keeps on coming, but for how long, we'll see.
It'll be Stevens who gets paid. Hughes is showing the aggression, but Stevens lands the big left hook.
Well, that's the way it's gone through the first 3 rounds of this match. We're into round 4. James Hughes, the fighter who is attacking, he's on the right of your screen and left of your screen in the black trunks also. Anthony Stevens. Stevens is putting his USBA welterweight title on the line. That is what James Hughes is after. Yet another great round for Anthony Stevens.
His kind of numbers, really, the 40 punches and not getting hit with many because of his boxing style. Hughes is still there and game, trying to make this an inside fight. Should Stevens make a mistake, Hughes would make him pay pretty dearly. He's cutting off the ring pretty well still.
And in the first round or 2, when Stevens was laying on the inside and grappling with him and wrestling and letting the emotion of the crowd in the moment get to him, that has all changed now. Hughes doing some damage on the inside there, briefly, not too much. There's a right hand by Hughes. And there goes Anthony Stevens from a right hand.
Talking about how he was still cutting off the ring, and he did make Stevens pay for a mistake. Stevens was going straight back, right in the path of the right hand, and he caught it. And now a very fortuitous break here for Stevens. Look at this.
Well, the mouthpiece, I guess, went out, and that gave him a little extra break there, didn't it?
That's a double break, and what a time for the mouthpiece to go.
Gee, what a surprise.
A cornerman helping a fighter?
Well, Anthony Stevens nailed by a right hand by Hughes. Let's see how hurt he is. I thought maybe it was a flash knockdown, but I think Anthony Stevens is hurt.
He is hurt by that shot because there's a big right hand by Hughes.
There's a look. Oh, the uppercut again gets through to Stevens, and another right hand.
Stevens this round has slowed down. He can't stay on the outside, and he's voluntarily fighting inside and getting clocked.
Hughes is just looking for the right hand, but now Stevens comes back with a good shot. So here in round 4, Stevens is pushed down by Hughes.
Pushes himself down, trying to take a little bit of a rest. This is a long way for Stevens to go to get out of this round. Hughes sensing it. This is his chance to do it right now.
So Stevens down here in the round, stunned, maybe getting his equilibrium back. We'll see. And Hughes is just measuring him, trying to get to him with the right hand again. That one a little low to the body.
You do sense a real possibility of a permanent momentum shift here.
But a good right by Stevens. Stops Hughes in his tracks momentarily anyway. Well, James Hughes was waiting for this moment. He found it. How much can he build on it? Let's listen in to Anthony Stevens' corner.
You gotta want this bad and suck it up. You understand? Nobody said it was easy. Every time you land a couple of good punches, you come up straight right in front of him and you want to swap again. Land you wanted to and step across, okay?
Hughes gets his moment. Watch Stevens going straight back, and he catches the shot. Actually, behind the ear, it looked like the equilibrium punch, and that's why he got up very dazed. And right after that, he got the help from his corner with the mouthpiece out. A double break.
But all these goddamn people, you hear me? But you take no easy way out.
That's Les Bonanno talking.
You gotta be smart. Step to the side, jab, step to the side. Get a share, shoot the body. You the man, you can do it.
That's what they say on the golf course. You the man. They say it in boxing, too. There's the cut under the eye of Hughes. The swelling not looking good. We are only in round 5 of a 12-rounder, so that's something to store in your memory bank.
And that's one reason why he's coming on so strong here. He doesn't want that swelling to be a factor. He wants to stop this fight first.
Good round for Hughes. Added to that is the knockdown.
He gets right back in the fight, a 2-point round.
And Dave, he's using the jab now. Landed another good right hand to the head. He hurt him, I think, with that right hand.
One other thing happened here.
Oh, big uppercut by Hughes. Stevens is hurt badly. He's in big trouble now. Another right hand by Hughes. Stevens is wobbled. So the pressure of Hughes now really getting to Stevens.
Stevens showed some fatigue in round 3 just before he got knocked down, and the fatigue is there again.
Down goes Anthony Stevens for the second time in this bout.
He should not be going down from these shots. He is in big trouble. He's also got a gas tank problem here.
Johnny Femia says, let's go. Takes a sweet time about doing it, too. Let's see if Hughes uses the jab to get his way in again. Anthony Stevens in all kinds of trouble. He is the USBA welterweight champion. That crown is teetering a bit now.
For Hughes to get his jab in like that shows how tired Stevens is, and he was showing that last round.
Very good point, Dave, because normally Hughes can't land that jab. Stevens is not moving well. Hughes going to the body. He is able to corner Anthony Stevens. This is not the Anthony Stevens that we saw against Harold Brazier, who was so crisp and perfect in all his moves.
And he showed that for the first 3 rounds of this fight, staying on the outside and being Brazier-like. But things have changed, and he voluntarily helped change that by willing to fight on the inside. He just could not get outside.
Hughes is really letting him off the hook a little bit here, though, not putting his punches together, not throwing that right hand, which is what got Stevens in so much trouble. But no question, another good round for Hughes. Stevens is just wobbly. His legs do not look like they're there. He can't move anymore, and that's not good for him.
He's got a long way to go in this fight.
Let him go, let him go, let him go.
And there's a look on Anthony Stevens' face right now that is not the look of a confident fighter. James Hughes, the 29-year-old from Mobile, Alabama, who told us this morning, I'm going to pressure him until he's tired, and then I'm going to go get him.
He's been true to his word, because even when Hughes has been getting hit, he's been trying to attack.
Hughes lands an uppercut from way back. He wasn't doing that earlier. Stevens comes back with a couple shots here at the end of round 5. He looks a little rejuvenated. Well, this one's heating up. James Hughes having his way, lands a good left hook against Stevens. We'll be back.
When he stops jabbing, he goes broke. Knockdown came right after that.
But it was James Hughes that made a nice little deposit there with that uppercut, wasn't it?
Certainly did.
We're into the 6th round. In both the 4th and the 5th, Anthony Stevens has gone down. Now, he still has an edge in punches landed, but 2 rounds with a knockdown.
And so he's really lost control of the fight. Hughes getting 2 10-8 rounds in a row. And Stevens, we talked about his jab, only 10 of 101 jabs thrown by both fighters have connected. Now, early Stevens was effective even when he missed his jab, but now that he's missing and not throwing his jab, he's in trouble.
He's not moving much, and Hughes getting to him with that right hand as he did right there. Fascinating because of the 2 knockdowns. You've got Hughes ahead now.
Yes, Hughes has only won 2 of the 5 rounds, but he's done them in very convincing fashion.
And you can feel, Dave, can't you, with the lack of movement of Stevens, that Hughes might get to him again. We have got the USBA Welterweight Championship fight for you right here. Anthony Stevens is the champion. James Hughes on the right of your screen is the challenger. He has had Stevens down twice, and he is going after him.
And Hughes deserves a lot of credit for coming on here. He was getting hit with a lot of shots in the first 3 rounds and really missing wildly, but stayed with the game plan even though it was failing early, and he turned it around.
Hughes has a right eye that is swollen from underneath it. There's a big gash under there. It hasn't closed to affect his vision, however. And he just landed another right hand to the head of Anthony Stevens.
And it's something how a knockdown can make your own pain go away. He was showing the effects of the cut eye earlier, but now he's showing nothing.
Excellent right hand, though, by Anthony Stevens. Stevens coming back a bit here in the 6th round as he did at the end of the 5th round. And he's moving better.
And the jab has returned.
But is Anthony Stevens 1 punch away from getting hurt again?
That still looks to be the case.
James Hughes told us this morning, this is a career opportunity for me. It is a turning point. If I can make this happen tonight, I can step into contention.
And Hughes is at the point where Stevens was in Stevens' last fight, just before Harold Brazier, needing one fight to get over. Now all of a sudden he's talking about Pernell Whitaker after one win over Harold Brazier. It can happen in boxing that fast.
We're winding down here in round 6. Not been a bad round for Stevens, even though Hughes has had his moments as well. Well, we're at the halfway point of this USBA Welterweight Championship match. Hey, it's a good one. Then what else is new on this show lately? We'll be right back.
When Stevens does jab, you see some good effects there. Last round we showed when he didn't jab. When he jabs, he's on top.
We're into round 7. It's Anthony Stevens, who is now being chased by James Hughes. Hughes has been after him in the last few rounds. This round especially, Hughes coming out very aggressively. And in the jab department, it's not surprising that Stevens would be ahead, but for Hughes, landing even that percentage isn't that bad.
That's not, he's staying fairly compatible with the jab and showing a little bit more of it than he did earlier. But what makes this fight so fun is that both fighters have shown how they got here, and they've done very well. Hughes on the inside and Stevens on the outside, so they're negating one another in certain aspects.
You have a dead even.
And you go negating each other that way, too.
Well, if you joined us late, Anthony Stevens was down in the 4th and 5th round after a terrific start against James Hughes. Then came back a bit here in the 6th, and now here's Hughes getting him in the corner and working the body and the head. Stevens, who has the USBA title, hoping for a world title opportunity. He had one once against Felix Trinidad. Had Trinidad down twice, then tired in the 10th and was knocked out. He couldn't win the IBF title.
Showing more movement now, Stevens trying to enlarge this ring and hope to force Hughes to make the same mistakes he did in rounds 1, 2, and 3.
And the question we are at, oh, nice uppercut. Stevens is now a stationary target. He's getting hit and hurt by Hughes.
And going to the corners voluntarily, and it becomes Hughes' type of a territorial fight.
You just get the feeling that Anthony Stevens' legs are not completely there.
That Hughes will get to him eventually.
Hughes throwing good shots. That's not where Anthony Stevens wants to be, in the corner, and he's getting hit with some pretty good shots. Good right hand by Hughes.
Hughes was trying to escape the corner, and he walked right into it. Hughes does not have the legs to show you the movement he needs.
Nice combination by Anthony Stevens. He backs Hughes up for the first time in a long time and gets him in the corner with a good right hand. For the first time, James Hughes looks like he's in trouble, but comes back with his own shots. This crowd here in Bossier City enjoying it, as we hope you are. Good right hand by Stevens. And another. They love it here.
Not enough pressure! Not enough pressure! Nah, he's off. He's off, Jim.
You hear me? You hear me? Look, you got him ready to go, boy. You ain't throwing enough goddamn punches. You hear me? You got him ready to go if he throws some more punches. See it? Listen, when he ties you up, you got that right hand free. Work it. Give me a towel. Let it go. 6 seconds.
And Hughes on the inside, trying to get his body shot off. And this was one of the things he did right in the round. Stevens was hot late.
Well, they were very aggressive in what they said to Hughes, as you saw, and that sent him running out here for this round. Oh, huge right hand by Stevens, but Hughes just shakes it off. Or does he? Stevens goes after him here in round 8. Big
Tremendous speed here by Stevens, and Hughes came running out, but he's retreating big.
And how much will this take out of Stevens if Hughes can weather the storm? We'll see. They brought this crowd to its feet again in the 8th round. Look at the look on Stevens' face, though. Is he punched out? We'll see.
The last minute of round 7 was splendid for Stevens. He might have enabled him to steal the round. He came out big here in the 8th. Quite a concentrated spurt.
That's a tired man. And you can take your pick as to which one I'm talking about.
Another mouthpiece. This time, again, second time in the fight. And this, a big benefit to Stevens because he gets the rest after expending his energy. And they are taking their sweet time.
Just kind of meander up the steps.
Oh, I can't find it. Do you know where it is?
I don't know.
Who left it there?
Anthony Stevens, a tired man, but he's had his way in this round. But look, now Hughes is rejuvenated. Let's see what happens. Anthony Stevens had a great beginning to this 8th round. But again, now he's backing himself against the ropes. But lands the right hand.
And gets himself back into the center of the ring. We haven't seen as much side-to-side movement in recent rounds by Stevens.
He's been tired. Stevens, a 29-year-old from here in Shreveport, Louisiana, right near Bossier City. Got lots of fans in this crowd, and they are cheering him on right now as he lands right hands to the head of James Hughes.
Stevens had Trinidad on the deck twice and did not win. He's been on the deck himself twice tonight, and he might win this fight. Sort of evens out if he can get this call.
Well, he told us this morning there was nothing that James Hughes could do to get to him. He was wrong. Now, that is not a knockdown, I don't believe, is it?
It's being ruled one.
Maybe it was. Maybe he got nailed with a hook. He's not complaining. Well, is it or isn't it? They started counting and then they stopped. I have no idea whether that was a knockdown or not.
It's a half knockdown.
Yeah.
A tiebreaker.
Good left hand. There's blood from the mouth of Stevens. He's in big trouble. A left hook by Hughes hurt him. He's down.
No doubt about that one. Fatigue, his big enemy here.
Again, the mouthpiece, and again, they give Anthony Stevens all the time in the world. Are they stopping this fight?
They should take a point away here for what's happened. That's 3 times.
And Johnny Famia gives him yet another 10 seconds. Big right by Hughes. Again, the right by Hughes. This round is over, and Anthony Stevens, for him, Christmas came early. Let's listen in.
Nice on him. Wait, deep breath. Get back. You want to continue? You sure? You sure? What round you got? 9. Let's go. Don't worry about that. 9th round. Just a couple more. You gotta hit this guy with some.
Well, Stevens had his way early in the round, coming through, landing the big shots, driving Hughes back. Hughes covering up for all he had. Tough moment here for Hughes, but the question being risen, did he punch himself out? Maybe the answer is yes. Late in the round, he's got nothing left, and the big right-hand bomb puts him down. No doubt about that one. He went down earlier in the round, no call.
That was the 3rd time Anthony Stevens had been down in this fight. In the 4th and 5th, he was also down, and as Dave pointed out, maybe he was down also in the 8th. James Hughes comes after him in the 9th round. This one is scheduled for 12, folks. Long way to go for Anthony Stevens, considering how hurt he is.
Well, the numbers in this case may be rendered useless for Stevens because of the knockdowns. The one big shot in each case by Hughes, overcoming all of those numbers you see.
And even in round 8, remember the great start Stevens had in the round, but Hughes took everything back from him. Hughes going to the body, Stevens unable to get away from him, getting nailed with good right hands. And now Hughes can cut off the ring anytime he feels right.
And Leslie Bonanno was ready to stop this fight between rounds. Came very close to it, and Hughes, Stevens was able to talk his way into another round.
You've got Hughes ahead because of the 3 rounds with the knockdowns. He is going to town now on Anthony Stevens. It's for the USBA Welterweight Championship. It's 12 rounds, but it may not go. We're in the 9th. And James Hughes on the left of your screen has had Anthony Stevens in all kinds of trouble in recent rounds.
And Stevens also cut nasty around his left eye. He'll have to contend with that too now.
The pressure from Hughes starting to get to him. He predicted this. He told us this morning, by the later rounds, Anthony Stevens will be tired and I'll get to him.
And what he has to get a lot of credit for is sticking with that plan, even though the early rounds were not for him. He came in, he was getting hits, but he stayed that way. And as soon as Stevens slowed down, then Hughes was right on top of it. We've seen fighters go out of their game plans when they don't work early and they pay a price.
Now, Hughes is not throwing as many punches as he did before, but he's throwing a lot more than Stevens is this round.
And he is, as you said, cutting off the ring at will. There's absolutely no problem for him. And every time he cuts off the ring, a light's going on for Hughes. I can punch, I can have this fight right where I want it.
One of those left hooks will get in like they did in the 8th round that helped knock down Anthony Stevens. Stevens doing nothing offensively. Oh, huge right uppercut.
And it's almost becoming target practice for Hughes, and that's dangerous when you're in against a power puncher.
Hughes has 15 KOs in 19 fights. He can punch. Another big round for James Hughes with 2 left. Can Anthony Stevens survive? That's becoming an important question. Well, James Hughes came here the underdog from Mobile, Alabama. Stevens dismissed him. He's not doing it now.
Coming right into your living room, the big uppercut there, and the shot moving back from Hughes. Tremendous shot there, just typical of how close he can get.
Stevens lands a good left hook as he's going backwards here in round 10. Those have been few and far between lately. We are in round 10. It's scheduled for 12. Anthony Stevens on the right of your screen has been down 3 times. In the 4th, the 5th, and in the 9th, in the 8th round. He is the champion, but right now, James Hughes is taking it to him. Good right by Hughes.
There are the 9th round shots. Hughes 39-11, and he outpunched Stevens 30-1 in the power punch department.
Hughes is using his jab, Dave, to work his way in very effectively.
Very dangerous when he can get that weapon going when he's already a power puncher. Stevens has been on spaghetti legs really since round 5. And more spaghetti legs.
That right hand really hurt him. They might think about stopping this pretty soon if Anthony Stevens gets hurt some more.
He's not even trying to get out of the corner. He doesn't have the stamina.
He has shown great resiliency, Stevens, but boy, he's getting nailed with some big shots. Look at him try and punch back, though. This crowd kind of stunned at the moment. This was kind of a home. He spits the mouthpiece out, Anthony Stevens. Now, if they have to stop this again, they should take a point away from Stevens.
We made the point earlier. It's already been 3 times, and they will at the first convenient break in the action, which is what you're supposed to do for safety. But fighters should be penalized once in a while for doing it deliberately, and the other fighter should be rewarded for knocking the mouthpiece out 4 times.
Johnny Familia hasn't even seen that the mouthpiece is out, though. He hasn't even thought about doing anything.
He still hasn't found it. Well, he couldn't find that one. He missed it.
Yeah, and just a moment ago, you stepped on the mouthpiece. So now here comes Stevens back a little bit. Not much on those punches. Again, in this round, Anthony Stevens has been whacked and hurt. He's fighting without a mouthpiece, remember. And maybe Hughes is getting tired right now because Stevens is taking it to a big right by Stevens. Could Hughes be hurt?
Or has Hughes run out of gas, too? They take turns being the one with the most stamina.
Good jab by Hughes as Stevens has his way here toward the end of round 10. It is scheduled for 12. Oh, my. Big right hand. That one hurt Stevens again.
Without a mouthpiece in, too. Now, that's how a broken jaw can happen.
Johnny Familia, the referee, has failed here to find the fact that the mouthpiece is out of Anthony Stevens. He should be stopping the... Oh, right hand by Hughes hurts him after Stevens lands a good right. It's been a close second half of the round here in round 10. Well, it ain't over yet. Anthony Stevens says, don't count me out. I got something left. He gets stuck on the ropes. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere.
Stevens doing some of his better work toward the end of the round, and there it gets cut off as the round concludes. And back to the corners they go for this slugfest to continue.
And Anthony Stevens looking so fatigued there at the end of the round. Just dragging himself back to the corner. He had a good second part of that round, though. Oh, there you are. Look at, even though Hughes hurt him, look what Stevens landed.
So now this is the dilemma the judges will have. 50 to 34 in volume, or
There it goes.
Well, it may be academic soon.
The fourth knockdown of this fight. Stevens has been down 4 times. Can you win a fight in which you've been down 4 times?
I don't know if it's ever been done by modern scoring. That's 4 extra rounds you're losing.
Oh, he's wobbly. If Hughes can get to him, Anthony Stevens is gone in this fight. But then I've said that 4 or 5 times. You've got Hughes ahead. It may be academic. He is going after Anthony Stevens.
And he should fight like he wants to make it academic, because you never know what's going to happen. He's got the knockdowns, but he's on the road, and you never know how the judges will see some of these rounds.
Well, so far it should be painfully obvious to Hughes. He ain't getting any breaks here. Good right hand by Hughes. They both land good shots, but it's Stevens that's sent backwards. How is Anthony Stevens fighting back at this point?
He's got a tremendous amount of resilience. He's got the title. He's trying to fight with the confidence of a champion. And once he got past the first couple knockdowns, sort of became numb to them.
Those are 2 tired men. We're in the 11th round. It is scheduled for 12. Anthony Stevens doing everything humanly possible to defend his USBA welterweight championship. He has been under assault for 11 rounds by James Hughes.
When do you see 4 knockdowns in a fight and they're still going toe-to-toe in round 11?
And in some ways, the issue's still in doubt.
Absolutely, because Stevens had the early edge in this fight, and Hughes was trying to make up ground.
Anthony Stevens punching more now, but boy, he is wobbling. Well, we saw, you and I did the Johnny Tapia Henry Martinez fight in Albuquerque. I didn't think anything could even approach that. This is pretty close.
This has been an emotional, intriguing battle, and again, when you make fights with hometown favorites and the crowd comes out, it's really an adrenaline-filled atmosphere.
Again, the mouthpiece goes out of Anthony Stevens. Stevens drives Hughes back. He's made another comeback in another round in which he was knocked down. Wow.
You can do it. You can do it. Good. Ice. Give me some ice in this. Last round. You can do it. You did good with body work. You can do it. You can rest all you want after this. Listen, please.
This is it, baby. This is it. You got to have this round. You know how they'll do you. I ain't even got to tell you. You got 4 knockdowns, but you know how they'll do you. Okay? You got to have it. Jab, 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 right hand. Don't stop throwing goddamn punches. Never. Get up off your ass. Show them what you're about. Let's go. It's your round. Take this round.
Final round, let's give it up for the welterweight.
We're in round 12. It doesn't get better than this in boxing. How about what they said to James Hughes? You know how they'll do you, even if you have 4 knockdowns.
You cannot blame the sentiment. All you have to do is look at the mouthpiece coming out 3 times and the obliging effort of the referee not to take any thing away from Stevens, and he's got to feel very lonely on the road here.
They're both tired, make no mistake. The edge is to Stevens, and he's boxed well in parts of this fight.
How important is 4 knockdowns? That's 8 points, 8 critical points.
If it is 8 points in the judge's mind, it's the question. He slips down. Hey, give Hughes credit again. Again, we see good sportsmanship here. He could have taken a shot at his opponent, but he didn't do it.
This has been a tremendous show of guts by both fighters. And they've both had trouble spots in this fight. Stevens gets up from the knockdown, and Hughes able to withstand the early assault, and the momentum swings in this fight.
Good hook by Hughes, but Stevens sustains during it. Again the hook, but Stevens comes back. Courageous performance by Anthony Stevens and James Hughes, both in this fight. And remember, in the 4th, 5th, 8th, and 11th, Stevens' head was down on the canvas. Good right. Here he goes again for the 5th straight time. I don't know if he's going to get up from this one. I don't think so. They shouldn't allow this to continue.
And they won't. It's over.
5 knockdowns. The last one counted. This 29-year-old from Mobile, Alabama, takes himself out of the journeyman category, becomes a USBA champion.
Takes himself out of the judge's hands and makes it officially academic with a tremendous hook to end this fight. He took advantage of Stevens' fatigue, and this was a great fight.
For this man, Anthony Stevens, who wanted so badly to do well in front of his home crowd here in Shreveport, Louisiana, it was a bitter disappointment. He fought his heart out, but this man, James Hughes, did precisely what he told us he was going to do, kept the pressure on him.
He wore Stevens down and then took Stevens out.
Top Rank Boxing has been brought to you by MGM. Prepare to enter the Stargate October 28th, rated P.
Ladies and gentlemen, by way of the Isle of Capri Casino here in Bossier City, Louisiana, the official time is 1 minute, 50 seconds of the final round, round 12. The winner by knockout victory and new USBA welterweight champion, the modern-day outlaw, Jesse James Hughes.
James Hughes gets it done. He's the USBA champion. You'll hear from him when we come back. Stay with us.
Have to be the judge in this fight?
Yes, I knew I had to be the judge. I'm in his backyard. I've been consecutively in people's backyards, and I've been robbed on a bunch of occasions. I got robbed at the world-famous Blue Horizon. Hey, it could happen anywhere. That showed me right there.
Did your battle plan work to perfection?
Yes, I kept a lot of pressure on him. I knew he would fade in the later rounds. Kept the pressure on.
Okay.
I caught him.
We've got to go. Let's take it back to Al. Thank you.